Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kelly. If you're not new here, welcome back. It's been a minute. So I haven't been on YouTube for probably, I want to say it's been like 2 months since I've posted, and I've missed it. I've missed talking to you guys and just documenting everyday life. So spur of the moment, I was like, now is as good a time as any. Let's just jump back into it. So it's a random Wednesday night. I just finished work and I'm coming on here. I need to make dinner. So I thought I would just catch up with you guys while I make dinner. I'll share a recipe with you and we can catch up. So if that sounds good, stick around. All right, first off, my kitchen has horrible lighting, so we're just gonna have to deal with that. But anyway, I've got some kale here. Oh, I don't think I've told you what I'm making yet. I'm gonna be making a copycat Olive Garden recipe. It's the Zuppa Toscana, which is like a creamy sausage potato soup, and we are low carb, so I'm making a few little adjustments to it to make it low carb friendly. So anyway, I'm starting off with the kale. I'm just tearing it into little pieces. Maybe I can angle you down a bit. Well, then you can't see me. All right, well, you know what tearing kale into pieces looks like. But anyway, I'm just gonna tear it into, I like to tear it into like bite-size-ish pieces. It'll wilt down, then I'll just rinse it. Anyway, let's catch up. So it's like mid-January right now. So the holidays have already gone by. We had a really nice Christmas, really nice Thanksgiving. I feel like this year everything just flew by. Like I kind of toned things down a bit and it still felt like everything just flew by in a flash. Like I didn't get to do a lot of stuff that we normally do or that I was planning on doing. And yeah, I don't know, it was just very quick this year. We didn't get to go to the Christmas tree farm this year, which was sad. That's something we like to do every year, but it just didn't work out with schedules, with work schedules. What else? We did host just our parents for Thanksgiving this year. That was also good. But again, flew by. At the end, we were like, that was so much work. And you sit down to eat, 10 minutes, you're done eating it. Then it's like, what did we do all of that for? So, but yeah, hopefully I'm putting in pictures and video clips of all of that. Even though I've not been posting, I have been filming. I really like to document. Even before I had, you know, a YouTube channel or anything, I always loved pictures of stuff and document things. And so I definitely have still been doing that. I will be back posting a couple of videos from the holidays. I think I'll have like 2. We went to Orlando for just for like Christmas activities like we normally do. We usually go to Orlando to do something. We'll go to a park or something. So this year we went to Epcot and just hung out around in Orlando for like a long weekend. So I'll make a video of that. And then I think I have a video I'll be putting out of just like our Christmas. I'm sure nobody is really, you know, not doing it for the views. I'm sure nobody really cares about Christmas at this point, but as I've mentioned before, we love watching these videos back as kind of like a curated home video, so we'll be posting it anyway. Let me throw this in the trash. I'm gonna go rinse this off really quick. Next up, I'm going to get out some radishes. This soup calls for potatoes. In the original recipe, they have like very thinly sliced potatoes in the soup, but potatoes are very high in carbs. So in place of that, I use radishes. And you might think to yourself, like, that's gross, but surprisingly, once you put it in the soup, you can't tell a difference. Like, it soaks up the flavors of the sausage and the cream and everything that's in the soup, and they just taste, honestly, they taste like potatoes, and they lose that like spiciness that a radish has. And yeah, they're really good. My husband even is like, my family is pretty suspicious when I make healthy swaps a lot of the time. I'll never live down the one time I put riced cauliflower. I tried to sneak it into like the ground meat in an enchilada. Yeah, I'll never hear the end of that. But this actually, they like it. And then they actually prefer it. During the holidays, we weren't doing low carb and I made it with potatoes and they were like, actually, I kind of prefer the radishes. So I'm going to rinse these off and then I'm going to slice them up thinly. All right, thought I'd give you guys a little different angle, so excuse not seeing my face while I speak to you. But like I mentioned, I'm just going to slice these pretty thinly. I'll cut off the tops and the bottoms first. Anyway, we also went camping at the beginning of the new year. That's something that we often do in January. If you didn't know, I live in Florida, so camping in the summer is kind of a miserable time. The big joke is that every time we go camping, we end up leaving at night and going home to spend the night because unintentionally, we don't plan it that way, but it's usually too cold because we're like, oh good, it's cold, and also we have to book way ahead of time, so we don't really know what the weather will be. But then it's always like freezing when we actually end up going camping. And, you know, freezing to us is like 40 degrees. Anyway, I'm slicing these. I forgot how to use my camera here. Slicing these pretty thin. Okay, bad example. That one's pretty thick. This is about the thickness that I'm going for, if you can see that. Also, this was a pretty small bunch of radishes, so there will be sparse radishes in this soup. Anyway, back to camping. We went camping. We had planned to go camping for 2 nights. So the first night we went, it was pretty cold, but I did post a video of when we went camping in Georgia, and the last time we did that, we got sleeping bags. And that makes such a huge difference. So the first night of camping here, we were fine. I was fine at least because I used my sleeping bag. Everyone else, I think, slept on top of their sleeping bags and with a bunch of blankets. And I'm like, no, you got to be in it. That's the way to stay warm. But I was fine. The second night, my husband was like, you know, let's go home. We live about 20 minutes from the campsite. And so he was like, you know, once it got dark, he was trying to talk us out of staying. He's like, let's go home. We come back early in the morning. We were like, no, no, no. And then as the night went on, while we were still out of our tents, we started hearing rustling, like in the back of the woods next to our tent. And I was like, okay, well, that's just, you know, some squirrels or something. We had also seen had a couple close calls here. Anyone else getting scared about my knife skills? Full transparency, I just moved this camera over here and then I caught a glimpse of the top of my fridge and I was like, I gotta clean that up. So I didn't, I just moved it over here, but sidetracked moment completely. But anyway, I just feel like since Christmas and the holidays, I just haven't been able to like get things back on track in this house. Like I've got the Christmas put away, but I still have a pile of boxes in this room over here that need to be broken down for recycling, and just like random stuff is taking over. But anyway, I'll get back to my camping story in a second, but in the meantime, I have got some hot Italian sausage. I'm just going to brown this up in a pot that I have here on my stove. And I get this one just because it's easier, but you could get the one in the casing, and then when I do that, I just squeeze it out of the casing. Also, you could just use like ground beef or ground chicken or ground turkey or whatever type of sausage you prefer. It just needs to be some type of ground meat. So we're camping and we're like, okay, it's probably just a deer or maybe like a raccoon or something. Also, we had our dogs with us in the tents, and one of the dogs was like not having it. Like she would not come out of the tent. I don't know why, but she was like kind of scared, and we were like, that's weird. But like the whole day she had been like that. And she's been camping before, so we were like, I don't know. And then our other dog is older. I think she's pretty hard of hearing. And she was already in the tent at that point asleep anyway. So I was like, no, let's just stay. It'll be fine. And then all of a sudden we heard like, I want to say it was like big puffs of like breath. Like something large was, I don't know what you call that, puffing. And then we heard what sounded like something fighting, two of them going at it. And I think that it was wild hogs. When we were, after that, I was like, no, get the dogs, let's go. Because it was right behind one of our tents, like had to be within 10 feet of behind our tent. And at this point it was pitch black, it was dark, I couldn't see anything. We had our flashlights, but they were like low-lying palms, so it was pretty thick, you couldn't see the ground. I was like, no, you know, I could just imagine like a hog coming through and trying to get to the dogs in the tent, and like, you know, a tent is just a piece of canvas, it's not gonna stop a hog. Needless to say, I was like, let's go. We grabbed our stuff, we grabbed the dogs, we left everything at the camp. We just took our food and our valuables, but we left like our tents there, our camping chairs, everything else, threw some water on the fire, and we're like, let's get out. Oh, I almost forgot. I need to dice up an onion first to put in here. I'm gonna do like half an onion. Okay, I ended up dicing up about a quarter of a yellow onion. So, a couple of tablespoons of olive oil in the pan, or pot, or whatever you call it. And at this point, I also go in with Italian seasoning, sort of a lot. And then if I don't have hot Italian sausage, if I can only find mild, I'll go in with crushed red pepper flakes. But since this is hot, I'm not going to add this in now. Then whoever's eating it can just add on to their individual bowl once they're eating it. Onion, Italian seasoning, some olive oil. I'm gonna saute that till the onions get translucent. Back to my camping story for like the 10th time. Anyway, on the way home, while we were driving home, I Googled that park and hogs, and it is a thing. There are a lot of pictures of it where wild hogs, not so much in the area, the camping area, but they have a primitive camping where you hike out like a mile or two, and then there are a lot of pictures of wild hogs that would come to people's sites. So I'm convinced that's what it was. But also another weird thing is we've camped there maybe like 6 or 7 times, but this is the first time we've camped since all of the hurricanes came through in last year, 2024. And I think the park was closed for a bit, so I'm wondering if like the wildlife has kind of like come back out, because we saw several deer while we were there within like 20 feet of our campsite, and we've never seen deer at this campsite before. So I think the wildlife had kind of started to get a little bit braver when there weren't as many people there, and now there's hogs. Anyway. Kind of MIA there for a while. I was on the phone with my mom, but I threw in the box of chicken broth that you saw. Then I added in a little bit of this Better Than Bouillon. It's like my secret ingredient whenever I make a soup. And then I'm going to bring it to a boil and then throw in my kale. So I added in the kale. I had to turn the vent off just so I could film for a second, but I added in the kale, and I'm gonna let that go for just like a minute, and then I'm gonna add in heavy cream. I'll show you that, and I'll let that boil for like maybe a minute, and then I'll turn it down to simmer. All right, here is the finished product, and Walter's gonna give us a little taste test. He added a lot of red pepper flakes to his. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's really hot.
Boiling hot.
Is it good?
Delicious, like always.
Sorry to just like be up in your soup, but here's the radishes.
Tastes like potatoes.
Yeah, it even looks like potatoes. You wouldn't even realize these
Tastes
are
like
radishes.
potatoes.
But yeah.
This was delicious.
Thanks, babe. Alright guys, thanks for stopping by. That's going to do it for today's video. If you made it all the way to the end, thanks for hanging out with me. Leave me a spoon emoji and let me know your favorite type of soup. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.